In every life, there comes a moment when the world feels impossibly heavy, when the air itself seems thick, and every breath reminds you of the weight you carry. And yet, somehow, in the midst of it all, we find a spark, a tiny ember that refuses to die. Ethan Carter had always been a dreamer. Or maybe he had been told he was foolish for dreaming. Dreams, after all, were luxury something people like him couldn't afford. His father had walked out when he was 10, leaving his mother to work double shifts just to keep their small apartment above water. Yet he dreamed. He dreamed of stages, of applause, of voices turning to him in awe and recognition. Something real, something tangible. They told him he wouldn't make it, that the world was too big, too loud, and he was too small. But that didn't matter, because Ethan had something no one could take: hope. Life has a way of testing the ones who dare to hope. Every failure feels like a mountain, every rejection like proof that the world doesn't want you to rise. But hope is stubborn. It lingers in quiet moments, in the spaces between chaos, in the hum of a street lamp, in the smell of rain on asphalt, in the warmth of a worn-out coat on a winter morning. And so he tried, again and again, even when the city seemed determined to crush him, even when friends gave up, even when the mirror reflected nothing but doubt. Sometimes the first spark doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers, and yet that whisper is enough to change everything. Ethan worked odd jobs: dishwasher at a diner, stocking shelves at a grocery store, delivering newspapers before dawn. He wrote in small notebooks he carried everywhere, pages filled with dreams, ideas, fragments of speeches, thoughts he whispered to himself in empty streets. Most nights he slept on a thin mattress on the floor of a tiny apartment. But every morning he woke up and wrote again, because he believed in something he hadn't yet seen, that the world might one day notice him. Sometimes courage is quiet. Sometimes it's not a roar, but a whisper of persistence. Courage is showing up, even when the world looks away. Courage is speaking your truth, even if your hands shake. And tonight, Ethan's courage was about to speak. He stepped into a small, dimly lit auditorium for a local speaking competition. The seats were scattered, the audience indifferent. The judges glanced at their phones. And yet, he began. His voice trembled at first, uncertain, like a candle flickering in a storm. But then it found rhythm, power, truth. He spoke of loss, of nights spent hungry, of moments when the world seemed determined to crush him. He spoke of fear, of failure, of doubt, and yet he spoke of hope, of the stubborn ember that refuses to die even in the darkest nights. And the room, it listened, not because he was perfect, not because he had all the answers, but because he was real, because he was human, because he dared to stand, to speak, to be seen. Sometimes the world doesn't hand you applause. Sometimes it doesn't give recognition. Sometimes it barely notices. But the truth is, you don't need permission to shine. The light we carry can illuminate the world. Ethan began to understand that night that life isn't about avoiding pain. It's about standing through it, about carrying the weight without letting it break you, about giving voice to your own truth when no one else will. Months turned into years. Small victories turned into bigger ones. Each rejection became a lesson, each failure a step closer. He spoke in community halls, schools, small gatherings. His voice became steadier, richer, more resonant. And slowly, people began to notice. People began to listen. But the greatest victory wasn't applause or recognition. It was knowing that he had survived, that despite the odds, despite doubt, despite fear, he had remained true to himself. He had stayed human. He had stayed hopeful. And that is what the world needs most. People who dare to carry their light, even when everything around them is dark. People who refuse to surrender. People who believe in the power of one small spark and in the quiet, enduring strength of hope. Ethan's story is not about being special. It's about being human, about showing up when it's hard, about speaking when no one else will, about loving, living, and dreaming, even when it seems impossible. And in that story, in that quiet persistence, there is something for all of us. The reminder that the light we carry can illuminate the lives of countless others. That hope is not just a word, it is a force that moves through us, that survives us, that changes the world in ways we cannot always see. Sometimes we wait our whole lives for someone else to light the path. But the truth is, the path has been waiting for us to walk it all along. And the light we carry is more powerful than we ever imagined.